Okay, so we are here on Rabbi Ben Pazi. Okay. Echtav Rubei Sorasi. Elo Tochachos. I'm going to write for them the majority of the Torah, which are the Tochachos, which we the rebukes, which are Parshas Bechukosai and Parshas Kisavo. So Korban Eidah gives a nice shot on this. Korban Eidah says, to take a look at the Korban Eidah says, Elo Tochachos Rabbe over here, Miloshon Roveh Kashos. Roveh is in modern Hebrew. Roveh is a rifle, but in classic Hebrew, it means a person who shoots arrows. Okay, so so that would be one interpretation. Then in Lishna Korea, he says Loshon Riv, right? So Rov is either Roveh, Hashem shooting his arrows at us, or Riv, Hashem is, so to speak, fighting with us because we haven't been doing the right thing. Okay, so Afil King. Even still, you're like strangers. So I think it's still Kazar Nechshavu. That's the end. That's the end of the puzzle. So he's saying, I gave you all these tochachos. Presumably, I carried them out as well. I'm still into Golos, and yet you're still a czar. You still haven't done what you're supposed to do. Amar Avun. Ilu kasafti rube sarasi lokma zornech shavu. So he's saying the way he's going to place it's like a bitmiya. It's like
doesn't it say lokomozar?
What?
Iluchein lokomozar.
Lokomozar nech shavu, right? So I'm sorry, you're right. So after we're going to say lokomozar nech shavu, wouldn't they be considered like a zar? So what does it mean? Then if I wrote most of the Torah. Amad be non-lumos. There'd be no difference between us and the Umos Oilam. Elam Motzim Sifreim, Elam Motzim Difterean. These people take out their Sfarim, and these people take out their Sfarim. Diftera is a type of parchment. So the uniqueness of Am Yisrael is specifically because of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Had I written down the Torah, everybody would have access to it, right? Like nowadays, everybody has access to an art scroll. So the people have access, and people then will equate themselves, and non-Jews will say, "What's special about you? We have the same Torah you have." So therefore, most of the Torah remained Baal Peh. Right? So the Chagigah b'Shem Shmuel ben Achmed said, "Nem udvarim b'Peh and nem udvarim b'Chsav." Some of the Torah is b'Chsav and some of the Torah is Baal Peh. We don't know which are more precious. And we might receive Alpi meaning we'll dash in Torah Sheba'al Peh, right? So based on the things which are verbal, on that I made the bris with you and with Am Yisrael. So the thing Moshe Rabbeinu. So the bris is on Torah Sheba'al Peh. We know Torah Sheba'al Tanakh is given to all the nations of the world, right? The Torah Sheba'al Peh is only given to Jews. That's why it says that if a person learns, if a non-Jew learns Torah Sheba'al Peh, he's chayav misa, right? Because Torah Sheba'al Peh is meant for Jews. Gemara says a non-Jew can learn Torah Sheba'al Peh.
What about Bomberg?
What?
What about Bomberg?
Bomberg just published them. He didn't actually learn it. He hired Jewish scholars to publish it, to work on it. It's a good question. Okay, so the Adam son Sheba'al Peh Chavim. This teaches us that Torah Sheba'al Peh is what's Chav. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon Chadamar im shimarta ma Sheba'al Peh. So there's interesting. I don't know if there's a girsa in the Shari Torah Eretz Yisrael says if shamarta mash bepeh, bepeh. That was he puts in a second bepeh, meaning there's an issue of Torah writing down Torah Sheba'al Peh. So if shamarta mash bepeh, bepeh, you get that?
Rebbe.
Yes.
What about Jastro?
What does Hada Amra mean?
Jasper was Jewish. What?
What does Hada Amra mean?
This teaches us, since it says Al Pi Advarim Ha'ela, we're learning that Hadamra means this teaches us. It's like Zoso Maris in Hebrew, right? So Hadamra Osin Shibib Pechavivin. That was the last line. And now he's telling us the Isser until Rabbi Nasi wrote down, gave the heter. It was also to write down Tersh Baal Peh. It's also usher to learn Tersh B'Ksav Baal Peh. So Zorim Sheb'Ksav have to be made
Except for Rav
B'Ksav.
Yosef. Except for Rav Yosef.
Except for somebody who's blind.
Right, that's Rav Yosef.
Yes, and Rav Sheshes.
Right, it's Gemara Balakam with
It's
that.
interesting now. I never thought about before. Rav Yosef wrote some of the Targum. Some was written by Yonas Ambuziel, and Navi Nach, and some was written by Rabbi Yossi.
Right, it says
Rabbi Yossi. And now
Rav Yosef.
the reason why I wrote a Targum must be why?
Because he's blind. That's what Taisha says.
So he says
And
that
that's
he's not allowed to learn Tersh B'Ksav.
Balakam.
So you have to learn in Aramaic, not in Hebrew.
Right.
Where
Says-
does it say that?
Daf Gimel and Beis and Balakam.
I should know that. I'm
Says
sorry.
Kitabit Targum Rav Yosef.
Okay.
And we say why did Rav Yosef? Because
It's blind.
he said
Okay.
in Targum.
I didn't remember Taisus. I apologize. So the
No, wait, Rebbe.
yeah.
What would be the difference in writing it in Lashon HaKodesh or Aramaic if he's blind?
No, because he can't. The Isser to say Divrei Torah about which are B'Ksav Be'al Peh is specifically the Divrei Torah which are B'Lashon HaKodesh to say them Be'al Peh B'Lashon HaKodesh. If you say the Divrei Torah which are written in Hebrew in a different language, you don't have that prohibition. Okay, so specifically. The basic we assume why are you not allowed to say why are you not allowed to learn Tersh B'Ksav Be'al Peh? Because we have to be meticulous and precise in preserving the nusach, the language of the Tanakh. And if you do it Be'al Peh, so then you might make mistakes. That's why you have to be meticulous. There's a Gemara about as in Bavli, Rabbi Meir, when he had to write him, he knew the Megillah by heart, right? But he had to write a Megillah. They didn't have Megillah in the town where it was for Purim. And then he had to write another Megillah because you can't write a Megillah from Baal Peh. So therefore he wrote one Megillah and then he copied it over because he didn't want to write straight from Baal Peh. I'm not sure why that's better, but in any event, the point is that a person is always supposed to copy Tersh Baal Peh precisely from a source and also say it from a source. And that's why we have a heter for things like Az Yashir, right? Which is saying davening. What's that to do with Baal Peh? Right? Many people say Az Yashir by heart. So the heter is based on something which is shogar b'fiv, something which you say and say. What?
Shema.
Same idea, right? Something which you say very often. So if you say very often, so therefore everybody knows the proper words. But normally Tersh B'Ksav, you have to, it has to be B'Ksav, and Baal Peh, of course, till Rabbi Nasi should supposed to remain Baal Peh. So that's what it says. Again, Rabbi Yechon, Rabbi Yudan, Rabbi Shimon, Chad Amar. By the way, if you're looking inside here, it's right over here. Rabbi Yechon.
Is Rav Yedin Rav Yossi?
What?
Who's Rav Yedin?
Who's what?
Rav Yedin. Yod Vav Daled Nun.
Right. It's the same as Yehuda. So I guess this is not, maybe I don't know what this is actually, because it's not, can't be the son of Shimon Bar Yochai because it's too late. Maybe it's the son of Rabbi Shimon. You know what? Probably the son of Rabbi Shimon Berebi. Rabbi Shimon, the son of Rabbi Yudan Nasi. So that would be Rabbi. So this Rabbi would be Rabbi. What?
I found the Taisvus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the third to last Taisus over there.
Is it also on Gittin? Because it says
Rabbi is
Gittin.
the kind of Zion. That's where it would be.
No, it
Yeah.
says Samach.
Oh no, this Gemara is on Samos. Yeah. The prohibition of writing Durham should be okay, could be on Samach and Zion, whatever. I'm not sure. But
Okay.
the be that as it may, so this is Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon was probably the son of Rabbi Shimon, the son of Rabbi Yudan Nasi. And therefore, so this is who was actually a contemporary Rabbi Yochanan. That's what it probably is. So, but Yudan in the Yerushalmi is equivalent of Yehuda in the Bavli. Okay. So again, he says,
Right, his name as Yehuda. If in the Mishnah they wrote his name of Yehuda.
Whose name is Yehuda?
Why did they write his name of Yudin? In the Mishnah they wrote his name of Yehuda.
It seems like in the Yerushalmi, the names were more Aramaic. So therefore, in general, the names are more Aramaic. That's so that would be Aramaic for what's like saying, like saying Judah, right? So this is the same thing. So Rabbi Shimon, if you kept that which is Balpeh, Biksav, and you kept that which is in writing, okay? Again, those two words are added by the Yishar Torah Yisrael. Mash bepeh, mash biksav, ani koresi chobris. Then we're going to have a bris. Things are going to go well. And if not, any koresi chobris. If we don't keep those things separate, we're not going to have a bris. So one of these, that was one drasha. And the other drasha, we don't know who said what. But Rabbi Yochanan said what Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon said. But the other drasha was, Im shimarta mash bepeh, v'shimarta mash b'ksav, and this here we wouldn't put in the extra bepeh and b'ksav because here it's talking about not the prohibition of writing it down for Teresh b'peh or saying it b'peh for Teresh b'ksav, but rather in general, if you keep both Teresh b'peh and Teresh b'ksav at mekabel schar, then you get rewarded. And if not, you won't get rewarded. In other words, Teresh B'Ksav without Teresh B'Peh, like the Tzedokim and the Karoim, that's not real Torah. So if you want to be rewarded for Torah, then it has to be both Teresh B'Ksav and Teresh B'Peh, not one without the other. Okay. Says the more further. Amrishim Levi, Alehem Ve'alehem. Kol kikol. So if you take a look at the Korban Heda, it's over here. Dirmaso Alehem. It says Dichsiv Valehem to the Bnei Yisrael. You should say Kichol Hadvarim. Say like everything I'm saying, right? So the question is that we could have said, have a matzah meimar, aleim kol dvarim, right? And here it says, see, ve'aleim, extra vav, and kichol advarim, right? So then that's an extra chaf, right? So the plus a ribuim. So there are three ribuim, three inclusions. The vav of ve'aleim, kol is a ribuim in and of itself. And kikol is another ribuy. So it's three ribuy. Rabbos Mikra Mishnah Halachos Talmud V'Agada. Sha'av Haim Sha'av Shehem Hey the five things: Mishnah, Halachos, Talmud, and I got Mikra, Mishnah, Halachos, Talmud, V'Agada. Right. So how do you get to five? There are only three Ruim, right?
As Varim and Hadvarim.
I missed something?
Right? Agamara says.
Oh yeah, you're right. I missed it. Right. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what the Korban is. Right. I was being wrong. You're right. The Korban says call is right. So it's V'Alehem the Vav and Kichol the Chaf and Hadvarim is the Hey. Okay, that's my mistake. And then he says so there are three Brim Rabos, all these things. Avshem Chamisha, even though there are five things here. Mikra mipashke the Kra mashma. So Mikra is partial. Obviously, the simple meaning of the pasuk is do these all these things. Make sure you preserve them. That means to learn Chumash. And Talmud, hainu limud halachos. In other words, Talmud is not a separate thing than halacha. Talmud is how you learn halacha. So therefore, you only need 3 ribuyim for Mishnah for Mishnah halacha and Agada, because Mikra is the simile of the pasuk, and Talmud is an interpretation of what it says in halacha, in the halacha and in the Mishnah. Okay, so let's go back to the Gemara itself. Here. Amar Shubin Levi, Alehem Velem Kol Kicho Varim Hadvarim. Okay, so I have to stop before we got that. Mikra Mishnah Talmud Halacha B'Agados, and now we have a very famous line. Afilu Masha Talmud Vasik Asi Lahoros Lifnei Rabbo, even that which an older Talmud is going to paskin in front of his Rebbe. It's already was given to Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai received every possible psak in Torah, right?
And why why do we have any machlokes? It should have been written already.
Because it wasn't. He didn't give it over to us.
Oh, why?
Because Moshe Rabbeinu needs to know everything, and the rest of us didn't need to know everything. But besides that, already during the days of Yoshua, there were 3,000. When in the days of Moshe, the Avelos of Moshe Rabbeinu, 3,000 halachos were forgotten. Sneil ben Knaz had to bring them back with his lomdus, with his pilpul. So there's forgetfulness.
Rebbe.
Yeah. Yes.
But what about the Rashi that says Moshe saw in a dream or in Shemaim saw Rabbi Akiva teaching halacha that he didn't know?
No, so it wasn't halachas. Very good. Because Rabbi, he was darshaning, what Akiva did was darshaning tagin, right? The tagin, which are the little crowns on top of letters, Rabbi Akiva was darshaning. The people don't realize the Gemara is very precise here. Gemara says anything which Talmud Vasik Asi Lahoros to paskin. I think the lashon elsewhere is l'chadish, and that's why people think that every possible chiddush in Torah Sheba'al Peh was every Reb Chaim, every Brisker Rav was already given to Moshe Rabbeinu Har Sinai, and it's not true because it's only about hora, only about psak. Any halacha was given to Moshe Rabbeinu Har Sinai. So if somebody comes up with a new svara, that new svara could be not given to Moshe Rabbeinu Har Sinai. And that's the Rabbi Akiva is coming up now with new halachas. But with new svaras, how to learn things. Specifically, the example in Dorish Tagin, extracting things from the amount of Tagin there are and where the Tagin are in the Torah. So what people normally understand Gemara to mean is not what it means. It's not that it's going to about Yerushalmi. It's not talking about anything. But I think, using my new shots here, maybe Megillah does say the Kadesh. No, it says here in the Bavli, in the Megillah Daf Yutes on the base. What this passage was, Yishas Melamed Sharo Kodesh Baruch Hu Moshe Dikduke Torah the Dikduke Sofrim. The diukim going to be made in the Torah. And the diukim made by Sofrim. Rashi says that the Torah is a ribui of an S or a gam, a mute of an ach or a rak. Those words which are ribui, those are mutim. The Sofrim is what later generations learned out in a similar way. And that which the Seifim are eventually going to be Mechadish. And the Gemara says, what's that? Mikra Megillah. So that's a totally different shot. According to the Bavli, what this man was telling us is that Moshe Rabbeinu saw all the takonas Chazal were going to make, right? Like Netilas Yadayim or Hanukkah, Purim, whatever the case may be. So that is according to the Bavli. According to Yerushalmi, it means anything which the Talmud is going to paskin. Moshe Rabbeinu received that even Talmud is going to paskin is Nemar Moshe Misinai. Okay, and the Bavli does not bring down this next pasuk. The pasuk is Ma Taima. What's the pasuk that teaches us this? Yesh davar shema re'eza chadash. Who? Somebody will say, like Pascal says, look, this is a new thing, whatever was before. Chaver Meshiva v'oimalo, and his friend's response and says, the rest of the pasuk, Farayolo lamim asher hayol lefaneinu. It was ready in previous days, previous times before us. In other words, you're going to say, oh, it came up with this new halacha. No, it already existed previously. Now, it's an interesting thing, you could infer perhaps that Moshe Rabbeinu was given all the halachas about refrigerators, right? But the pashtus is that he wasn't given the halachas about refrigerators, but rather he was given the principles of halacha, which are like secretion of the lonichole, and things like that, which have to do with refrigerators, but not the halacha about refrigerators themselves. Okay, says Gemara further. Rabbi Zira b'Shem Shmuel. Emin halacha, emin lo min halachos, lo min agoros, lo min atosafos, ela min Talmud. If you want, when paskin halacha, you can't paskin halacha not from the halachos, which are the Mishnayos, not from the agoros, which are Medrashim, and not from Tosafos, which are Toseftos, Braisos. Ela min Talmud, only from the Talmud, meaning Talmud means that the Gemara and the Gemara's interpretation of all these things. Okay, in other words, a person, the Bible says, a person who passes from a Mishnah is a mevale olam. He wears out the world. It's a negative statement because the person first has to learn how to learn the Mishnah, and only then can he pass it. You can't go straight from the Mishnah and say this is what it says in the Mishnah. You have to understand what it is and try and understand the principle and what its applications would be until you pass in Allah. So that's the Marshal, the Yerushalmi Luria in the 16th century, in the 1500s.
Rabbi.
What?
But we don't really pass in halacha from the Gemara, do we?
No, we don't pass in the Gemara. But the Marshal was very against the creation of Shulchan Aruch. And at the time, a lot of people were against the creation of the Rambam, because that was like making a book you can go to get the halacha without having to learn the sugya. And they were very opposed to having such books. They wanted you dafka to learn the sugya, and then only then come to psak halacha. So
Your own sack?
They lost out. What?
Your own sack?
What do you mean?
You would decide who you want to follow?
No. I'm saying that everybody would go to their own Rav, obviously. But the point is that a Rav shouldn't be able to take out a Shulchan Aruch and say, okay, send a Shulchan Aruch like this. Because then he's not going through the true halachic process. The Marshal himself wrote a sefer, Yam Shel Shlomo, on several Sechles and Shas, in which he goes through the halachic process, beginning at the Gemara and going through the Rishonim and Achronim. So that's actually the way you want people to learn. People should start their learning from the Gemara and then go on from there and to go to Psak Halacha. But the Gemara itself seems to be saying something similar, right? Gemara is saying you can't paskin straight out of a Mishnah or straight out of a Brisa. You have to first understand it, work at it, and only then can you actually go and paskin like it. Okay, so that's to say that you only paskin out of Talmud. Says Tana, Rabbi Chalafta. So how can you say that we don't learn from halachos? Okay, now he's going to ask a very specific question. He's going to ask, don't we learn from halacha Moshe Sinai? What the halacha is? But didn't we learn of times by Rabbi Chalafta ben Shol, Bar Shol, Shnei Minim? Who Shnei Minim Chitim? Who Shnei Mine Soerim? This is the if you take a look over here, the Korban Eidah explains it very nicely. He says over here. The dinam shava. They have the same halacha. You make them if you harvest everything in one pile. No, you will give payoff for the whole thing. So shnei granos, you made 2 granos. You made harvested in 2 different in 2 different times, right? And made from 2 different piles. Those some base pails. You give 2 pails. Now, Avagav the chitim kufay loch Moshe Sinai. Even though that this is true about wheat, is learned from Allah Moshe Sinai. I feel like Madame Rabbi Chalafta Bar Shol, so I'm chitim. That was here Chalafta Bar Shol learned from that Allah Moshe Sinai that also barley, just like wheat. So it says, well, how can you say that? If you made in halacha, so means you can't learn out from halacha, extrapolate from halacha, and therefore you can't pass in that way. So the Gemara says,
he's saying you're able to take off if you have sa'arim and keep them in the same kriya.
No. Sorry. If you have 2 chitim, 2 sides of your wheat field, right? And you harvest one month and the other the next month. So then you have to give 2 payers. Okay? And what we learn from that is by 2 fields of so'erim also. If you harvest in two times, you have to give 2 times payoff. So Gemara is asking, how can you say elamei min halachos? You can't aim more lo min halachos. You can't basket out of halacha, meaning that if you have halacha Moshe Sinai in one thing, you can't learn from that in another thing. So how do we learn out so'erim from chitin, which is actually halacha Moshe Sinai? So Gemara says no, and this is very. I'm not sure how we know this. This was actually part of the halacha Moshe Sinai. The halacha Moshe Sinai said the same thing is true about barley as it is about wheat. They forgot it, right? But the halacha was that was the halacha which they got, and which means that those are both were originally part of halacha Moshe Sinai. They forgot the part about Sorim. Somebody eventually remembered it goes to Sorim as well. So we didn't learn out actually. We remembered that it goes on both. So the more now is another question. But Ninon, Hamachlik b'Sorim lachim lashuk, if you are separating out moist onions to go to the marketplace. Okay. So then and the im kayam, who takes it out? Somebody takes it out. Not sure. I have it. I took out the im kayam. Maybe the Korban Eidah takes it out.
You didn't put it on the classroom, did you?
What?
Wait, what are you looking for?
No. I have here parentheses in my Gemara, which take out the words im kayam. Because it doesn't make it doesn't make sense in the context. But I don't see where I got that from. Anyway, but he said the idea is you're dividing up your onions. Lachim lashuk, you're going to take moist ones for the market. Yeveshim lagoyim, you're going to take dry ones and store them for the winter. Okay, you're going to put them in the silo. So the Gemara says if you do that, you separate your onions. Actually, the Mishnah says if you separate the onions, some to take the shuk and some to take to put away, so then you have to give 2 payos. Same thing. So as it so it says when Israel made a shok v'goren kacha so alocha biyadam mishchachua. Can we really say that the same thing? That it's the that it's the same that the same principle which we learned out from the halacha, the same principle we said before. Does it apply here? And he says here, why shouldn't we able actually to say the same thing? So you look at the Gilyan Hashas on the side of the Gemara over here. The Gilyan Hashas says, Rash Perek Dal to pay a little bit in the middle. Rash Perek Dal Perek Aleph to pay up, right? I mean, Torah ain't pay rak b'dogan b'tira shviyitza, right? The only things that are chayav in paya are dogan, grain, tirosh, wine, and yitzar olives, grapes and olives. So that's the case. Where did they learn out? How did they learn out that when you have 2 types of onions, some of you which are harvesting now to take to market, and some of you are harvesting to store, that you have to give 2 separate payos? It can't be a lochel much because the whole lochel is Rabbanan, right? So, but that's it's there's another way of learning here, because if that's the way to learn it, the Gemara doesn't answer the question, just leaves it difficult. But the way there are, it's possible to learn as follows, like the Mashbiach learns it. When he learns it, what do you do with that? And then he says, no, it's not part of the question, but it's the teretz. Just like we said by the case of so to buy the onions, okay, so that would not be going with the assumptions to Rabbanan. So I don't know what they would do with the Gilyan Hashas, but it's nice because that way the Gemara says the same answer which you gave before, we'll give now as well. Okay, so Rabbi Chanani b'Shem Shmuel said, "Ein l'meidim min ha'roya." You don't learn out from a psak which was theoretical. I believe that
Which was what?
What?
Which was what?
Theoretical. In other words, if the question was not actually asked l'maisa, it was only raised in theory. There's a sefer of the Rishonim, Trumas Hadesh, and he made up all the questions. So some Achron said that it's not so reliable Trumas Hadesh because he wasn't actually asked the questions. He made them up.
The Chagigah also made up his questions. The Chagigah.
Chagigah said about the Trumas Hadesh?
No, he made up his
Chagigah
own.
made up his questions, yes. But he's really for much more for Pilpul and Tsunami. So the point, but the point is that if you don't pass roya if it's a psak without any actual case, which means the next case is difficult. Hakol modim she'en l'meidim min ha'maisa, right? This is you can't learn out from a story. Why can't you learn from a story? We have this principle. So Yerushalmi obviously does not hold. We can apply the principle, at least at this point, of Maisa Rav. Maisa Rav is the principle. If you see your Rebbe doing a Maisa, then you can pass it that way. So obviously the Yerushalmi does not hold, at least at this point, it doesn't hold the Maisa Rav, right? But the Gemara is going to give a qualification. It's going to say, yeah, no, that's not true. Maisa Rav sometimes actually can be the basis of a psak, but we're running out of time and we'll leave it for next week. Okay, we'll come back to it next week.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you. Wednesday?
Thank you. Have a good Shabbos.
Wednesday, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thursday.
Wednesday's the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday we'll learn next week. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.